Hello there. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Citizen Live at 1. I'm Janet Mbogwa. Now, the National Lands Commission Chairman Mohamed Swazuri says vast parcels of land owned by influential politicians and businessmen are lying idle in Lamu as locals are reduced to squatters. Swazuri says most villagers have complained to the commission that they were illegally ejected from the said land and will have to summon the owners of the parcels to establish original owners of the land.
Amid the people tour by the National Land Commission officers in Lamu to establish land ownership proved to be no mean task. Residents making known their plight.
Madhumuni ya TSS kuleta hapa kumbe haikuwa kutusaidia sisi. Ilikuwa madhumuni siasa. Tupata watu wetu hapa wachukue kura wa support Fahim Taha ambaye ni son-in-law yake. Ilikuwa lengo ni hiyo. Sasa tulipoanza kuuliza habari ya hiyo encroachment ndio tukapigwa na nini? Jeshi hapa watu wetu wakafukuzwa watu wote na jeshi na sisi ni Wakenya. Haya, sawa. This is what happened.
And so the grand trek to what this group of residents claim this piece of land that is registered under Amu Ranch.
Wakati ya shifters 1966 na 1968 wale wachache walibaki hapa 70s walipigwa tena na shifter.
Kwa hivyo ni maana kwamba Amu Ranch iliundwa baada
ya hiyo. Yes.
And from there the fact-finding mission to other parcels of land in the area.
Where we find that the ranches were illegally acquired, we shall revoke the titles. I think we have said this many times. Where we found that they were irregularly acquired, we shall recommend regularization of the processes so that everybody gets ile haki yao ambao wanataka.
Sisi tumekwenda pata ardhi house ndio mwisho kutetea haki yetu. Tukaambia sisi tumekuja hapa, haki yetu tutapata hapa, ikiwa kukosa ni hapa. Na sisi tunaanza sharia.
The commission will summon the owners yet again to shed more light on the issue.
The Taita Taveta boy living with albinism and who was twice rescued from kidnappers has found a temporary home courtesy of nominated MP Isaac Mwaura. This after his parents went public that they were willing to give him up for temporary adoption to save his life from kidnappers who wanted to kill him and sell his body parts to witch doctors. Mwaura has facilitated his relocation to his new home at the Thika School for the Blind. Mwaura's intervention was triggered by news aired on Citizen TV highlighting the 5-year-old nursery school pupil who had received kidnapping threats by unknown people. According to the family, people suspected to be from the neighboring country of Tanzania have been visiting the homestead at night and during the day with the intention of stealing the boy for sacrifices in Tanzania. We're glad he's safe for the moment. Now, Kenyans pride themselves for their resilience in times of adversity, such as the Westgate Mall terror attack that killed at least 67 people in September last year. But perhaps no one symbolizes the country's determination to rise again more than the gallant soldiers, policemen and ordinary Kenyans who stood up to the call of serving the nation when terrorists struck the mall. And today, just a few days to the first anniversary of the incident, some of the policemen who responded to the distress call tell a story of ultimate bravery, sacrifice and undying love for their country. Judy Koskei brings you their compelling story in our continuing series From the Ashes of Westgate.
You see? Yeah. That's a bullet.
In total, I was shot 15 good times.
Prayer gives me hope always.
Kama ni kazi, bado itafanya.
I've never gone back to that place.
Reaching here reminds me of the incident that took place on 21st of September 2013. How it was and how I saw the bodies lying on the floor. This is a whole year by today. This one is now making me get more closer to God for giving me one more chance to live. I'm now growing more strong to just have a visit of the place. Well, it's also giving me some courage to erase the trauma and to move closer to God. Alighting from this car and stepping on this ground reminds me of what happened on 21st of September.
Sergeant Godfrey Moses Emojong finally makes a journey to a place that changed his life.
Oh my God.
Just 2 months after being discharged from hospital, where he was admitted for 10 months since September 21st, 2013. The 37-year-old father of 2 was worked in the police force for 17 years. Faces August, he says, brought out his greatest virtue: courage. It is the courage of people like Emojong and the pain Kenya and the world went through during the Westgate terror attack that continues to make this building under renovation the center of attention.
To one of my colleagues who lost his life, I would wish that he would be listening wherever he is.
It is also the first time these 4 police officers are meeting since the Westgate terror attack. They are an emblem of unity in adversity, commanded by the Nairobi Deputy County Commander Moses Umbati.
Thank God that we are alive, and despite the injuries.
10 police officers were at a strategic point inside the mall. Some died. Some survived with life-threatening injuries. Others emerged unhurt. Those who sustained life-threatening injuries have a different story.
This was also shattered completely.
Sergeant Godfrey Moses Emojong, 15 bullets pierced his body.
On my chest, that you can see, this is a bullet. There was another bullet here, and then another bullet, and then a bullet next to the spine. That was not enough. My leg was shattered. These were bullets. It was completely shattered. Then on my thigh, there were another 4 bullets. I thank God for that.
In total?
In total, they were 15.
Hapa chini, sehemu ya chini ya mgongo.
46-year-old Corporal Nura Ali Sharama, a father of 10. A man who has served in the police force for 26 years, but 5 bullets that almost pierced his crucial organs left him unconscious on that dark day.
The right side of my abdomen was torn, and I can see some coiled things together, you know, lively organ rolling out. Then it hit me as a shock that it was my intestine which was slowly rolling out of my abdomen.
All this time, Stephen Lele, who was then the officer commanding Kabete police station, was taking cover. He was hit on his leg, but he pressed on.
Sikufikiria kuhusu familia, sikufikiria kuhusu maafisa wenzangu. Nilikuwa nafikiria tu vile tutawatoa hawa walifu.
Ilikuwa ngumu sana kubeba mtu mmoja, mtu mzima. But sijui nguvu ilitoka wapi na sijui nilibeba namna gani, lakini I had to move them.
But then another officer was hit by over 3 bullets.
Nikiwa nimelala, wakati niligongwa, niligusa hapa nikapata nimepigwa risasi. Nikaingiza kidole, nikaona sio kubwa vile. Sasa kidogo nikiwa nimelala, nikaona bunduki imepigwa na vidole yangu imetapakaa, pete imeenda. I don't see it.
He lost his fingers but did not drop his rifle. Corporal Moses Ewosit Longiron, aged 42, a man who has served in the police force for more than 23 years.
Hii vidole ingine inakuanga inasaidia kusupport, lakini kazi bado inafanya. Kazi bado inafanya.
They needed to get to hospital first. They fought the fight, and a year later.
Prayer gives me hope always. And it gives me that determination that God is always there with me. And despite the work being so demanding, a brush around a clean corner, you get it, that's a mosque. If the ground is God's mat.
They're the Westgate heroes, patriots, they say. Judy Kosgei, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
We really applaud all of those who risked their lives to go in and save people during that merciless attack. Further afield, let's cross borders to South Sudan, which has been in the news this week for some not so positive reasons. But here's an inspiring story from there. George John Male, a young South Sudanese student, has designed and created a light aircraft. George discovered his talent and love for aeronautics when he was just 5 years old, but his dreams of becoming an aeronautical engineer have been disrupted by continued fighting in the country as he no longer goes to school because of insecurity.
Parked inside a small compound in Juba, South Sudan, is a small light aircraft. The plane was created by 23-year-old George John Male. A high school student, George discovered his passion for aeroplanes when he was a young boy. This is a second prototype. He built the plane using locally sourced materials such as scrap metal and discarded plastic and sacks.
I've done a lot since I was still a kid, yeah. I've been doing some research and try to work out small aircrafts, make them. There's the one I made before this. It was a UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle, but I didn't have the system to control it. The wiring, GPS and all this. So that's why I came with an idea of making the second one that could carry a weight of a person. Yeah. It's powered by 2 gasoline engine, almost like generator, but it's a little bit different. You can adjust the speed, yeah.
George works at home and has turned his room into his workshop, which he calls the Aerotech Research. He's also an artist and uses his drawing and painting skills to design airplanes. He developed his prototypes using information he finds on the internet. George wants to study aeronautic engineering, but his dreams were interrupted by the ongoing fighting in the country. South Sudan has been mired in conflict between government forces and rebels since mid-December. George says he no longer goes to school because of the security fears. Illiteracy and poverty are high in Africa's youngest nation, and there's no college or university here where George can study aeronautics. He says his family would also rather he pursued a more conventional career. Despite the challenges, the young inventor remains optimistic.
There are times whereby I'm discouraged because when I do these things, they sometimes call me I'm crazy and all this. Even sometimes when I bring the material, I sneak them into the house through the fence so that they will not see it. If they see it, they'll start saying I'm wasting money on crazy stuff. Yeah.
Finding funding for his project has also been difficult. He even took his first aircraft to the country's Air Force.
The first plane I made before this, I took it to Air Force. But since then, nothing was done about it. It was just left there. It was trashed by wind and all this. Yeah. Actually, they told me they'll look for they'll fix a program to take me for studies. But since then, I've been here. Nothing was done about it. Yeah.
Although George's plane isn't quite ready for passengers yet, he believes with the right support, he can become one of Africa's greatest aerospace innovators.
Truly inspiring story there. Now, only 8% of Kenyan households earn a total income of 40,000 shillings and above every month. That means 92% of Kenyan households fall in the low-income earners category. This is according to a survey conducted by Ipsos Kenya Limited on the last week of August this year. 52% of those interviewed noted that their household economic condition has in fact worsened within the last 3 months, particularly at the coastal region where the tourism industry has hit rock bottom, forcing many out of employment, and tidings that come from tourism-related industries. Here's that story.
My dear, you're from where? That's good. In fact, you don't have any of that. You can see that 78%, 3/4 of Kenyans, households are earning less than 25,000 shillings a month. Actually, it's more if you take out the don't know. And much to my satisfaction, Some of you may have seen in the East African newspaper a couple of weeks ago a report by the Standard Bank, which had done a survey of the economic structure of all the countries in East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, trying to answer the question for investors, is the middle class in these countries actually growing the way many people are saying that it is? And they actually used a cutoff point of low income of $5,500 US, which on a monthly basis is equivalent to 40,033 shillings, something like that, just a little bit above 40,000. Now, if you combine our three categories that are 40,000 and below, here you get 93%. And they said there were 92% of Kenyan households in poverty. And just from what our respondents are telling us, statistically, is exactly the same as what the Standard Bank found out in their research.
Troubling numbers there. Now, university students in Nairobi and Mombasa today engaged the police in running battles as they protested against failure by the Higher Education Loans Board to remit loans into their bank accounts. Several students were arrested in Mombasa when the students of Mombasa Technical University blocked roads and inconvenienced motorists. In Nairobi, police had to lobby tear gas canisters to disperse students who had taken to the streets. The students claimed that HELB had ignored their calls despite lengthy talks. They have vowed to hold daily demonstrations until the money is disbursed. We have full details of other stories that we're following for you right here on Citizen Live at 1. Stay with us. We're back after the break.